Welcome to this episode of Write Byte, where we explore tech writing as a function, a career, and a tool for impact. I'm your host Sachin, and our guest today is Dr. Anu. Welcome, Anu.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you for having me here.
Always a pleasure talking to you. Okay, so before we start, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience? 60 seconds to go over your biodata, curriculum vitae, and resume.
I'm Anu, a creative disruptor who believes in the enormity of human mind. I'm passionate about technical writing. I've done a lot of work in specific areas of content strategy, operations, and now exploring business intelligence for content. I can help connect the dots between a great product adoption journey and a great client experience through content, informed data, and communication. I do have a PhD in humanities, specialized in American literature and Indian writing in English. And I love reading. I love reading short stories about technology. And I love writing as well. That's one thing many people don't know.
Okay, and thanks for that. A really unique introduction for sure. And some great things to talk about, right? The PhD, yeah? That's something that a lot of us aspire, at least I do. Okay, good. Something that you missed. Anu has been an active volunteer with STC India. She's been our learning or education manager for the last 2 years, and anybody who's attended the sessions would have interacted with her. She also comes with a great passion for learning, right? And I would like to kind of explore it more in a dedicated video after this. But today we're talking about the 25th year anniversary of STC India, right? So, from your association, how would you summarize this journey so far?
This has been a progressive journey. We've started with writing in Word, README text files, and now we are actually moving where we are calling SaaS and we are thinking of CI/CD. We are considering Six Sigma and Agile adoption for content. We are measuring the content performance, exploring multimedia and multi-platform. And we have a bright future ahead with all the fourth industry disruptions,
Sure.
the Trinity, IoT and artificial intelligence and blockchain. That's going to influence the way we do documentation a lot. With evolving technology, the kind of tools that's available to us, future is immense and enormous, and there's a lot to explore and upskill.
Excellent. You already covered the second question I had about what's in store for the future, but kind of sticking with that question to the extent of what do you see really changing for the writer? I understand technically there are a lot of things that will change, but what do you see as a change that's ahead of us as a tech writing industry?
There's more ownership now. If I recall my earlier association when I was like a newbie, it was more about copy paste and the direction given, from development
Sure.
and QA.
Yeah.
This is what you have to write. This is where you have to add. Just use this text and paste it. Now that has changed that I decide what the users would like to read
Sure.
and how can relay that information. So there's a lot of accountability, lot of ownership,
Sure.
and that is now being recognized and valued for.
Okay, great. So, as a leader at Fiserv, right, you know where your team came from and where it's arrived. How are you really preparing them for the journey ahead?
There are especially three specific categories we are currently focusing on, or rather focusing at. What we are doing with engineering and innovation with respect to content, and content is just not limited to the product documentation. The guided and unguided zones have blurred.
Okay.
The line is blurring. So what we are doing with that area, specific area, we have tools, we have technology, we have different approach, different way of designing the content, more, from the user's perspective. It's about creating or authoring, a help, for example, or release note that's going to add value and help our clients use that data, take a better informed decision. So we are actually enabling their success.
Okay.
So from user assistance, being a user assistant to a success enabler, that is somewhere we are playing with.
Okay.
And then we have transformation with respect to digital transformation in the adoption of how we are, doing away with all those PDFs and adopting new technology to deliver, content to the devices that people use
Sure.
any time of the day, and again measuring all that we are doing. So there is a definite control now that what we are doing, how much value we are creating, and at the end of the day, how that is bringing value or adding value to the business.
Okay. So if I were to summarize what you said, you are not just looking at documentation anymore, but you're looking at the entire information experience. Right? So
Absolutely.
whatever need the user has, so you're truly becoming a user assistance professional as an organization.
Yes.
But how do you prepare your writers to really go beyond documentation, right? So I believe a lot of writers are already exposed to, let's say, uh, editing the error messages or looking at UI labels. But this whole angle of user need analysis and being able to identify and deliver on these user needs is a altogether different challenge. So how are you prepping your writers for it?
There are couple of things that we do, getting them exposed to client feedback. So we have a client feedback mechanism. We are meeting clients, so getting a live or real time feedback. Then upskilling our writers, because some of the things that we are doing that require certain technical knowledge or certain specific upskilling. We are providing those training platforms. We are actually having those office hours, dedicated office hours for those focused conversations. You have a problem, join in the meeting and ask the question. And at the same time, when we are hiring new people, we are also looking for specific skills that we can leverage immediately and do not have to spend a lot of time in training them, and leveraging the transferable knowledge that the new people are bringing. Precisely in the existing folks that we have, it requires certain mind shift. So taking baby steps, introducing them to content model, then information architecture, and then all that they can do with respect to content publishing, with respect to the way they are designing their information pieces and how it is adding value. So thinking from the perspective of task-based topic, or considering who is actually going to consume this information. So bringing in those perspectives definitely help, and that's how we are conditioning people.
So you have a mix of a well-defined learning path. So you're upskilling people that way. You also have a lot of assignment-based learning, and then of course you're also experimenting some with group discussions, trying to learn from each other. Great strategy there. Now, some of our audience is not so lucky to have a big team or leadership which is planning things for them or preparing them for the future. What is your suggestion for them on how they can kind of upskill themselves?
A couple of things. First, find a passion community. STC India could be a great platform. Get associated, experience what people are thinking, get attached to like-minded people who would want to experiment with content. It's going to more about conversations that you're going to hold with people who are into the business, into this business. And then there are specific groups. You can find it on LinkedIn. Those passion groups, I would say. Follow those, and there are specific blog sites, websites. I would rather be writing by Thomas Johnson. Those are like good pieces. There's so many blogs that one can follow. Even Medium is one such example. Also, other learning models. It's just not specific to what we write and how to write, but also understanding the psychology. So exploring persona, exploring what all we can do with respect to managing content, engaging with our audience, expanding the content reach, the proper strategic approach, and then go with the granular approach, more tactical.
Okay, so don't wait for your organization to do it for you. You can take the lead. You are an SME in the space of user assistance, and you can kind of deliver on it by really expanding to take the whole picture together. That's
absolutely
okay, perfect. Good. So my last question is more related to your role as a learning manager for STC India. Right. So you have been running that charter for 2 years. Could you summarize your interaction so far? And could you give us a few tips on how we as a community could extract more from what you're running?
Absolutely. When we started, we started actually in the pandemic era.
Yes.
Everybody was virtual. There was more screen time, and we leveraged that. So there were structured approach, scheduled sessions, learning fest, registrations, and we started conducting free sessions. So there was a traction, there was a traffic, there were people who were interested in genuinely, and they wanted to upskill and explore. So those were, like, I would say, the first few things we started with, and then the sessions that happened, skill building session, knowledge sharing session, and we were getting more people attending, more number of attendees joining those sessions, attending those sessions. Again, that was a good takeaway. How to build on it would again require interested people who would want to make learning as part of their habit. It is important, and I staunchly believe in, before anybody else makes you obsolete, make yourself obsolete. And the only way to stay relevant is to learn and use that learning day in and day out. It could be a new learning, nothing specific or related to what we are doing, bringing that learning back to what we can do. So if somebody is interested in data analytics and they're doing, authoring a release notes, how can we actually introduce some of the parameters or matrices, to analyze whether this release note that we have authored, spending so much of time, is actually creating any value, identifying those specific gaps. So those are some of the things that one can do, and more mind storming. When coming together, it turns into brainstorming. So those are like the platforms one could leverage. You ask me, individual contributors or people who are lone writers, these are the platforms where they can leverage and learn, and it requires the entire community to help each other learn and grow.
So if I were to summarize, inspiration is there all over the place. Doesn't have to come from tech writing. Get inspired, apply it in tech writing. That's how we'll progress. Single mind can think only so much. So to gain more and more, make 1+1 = 3, you need to come together as an organization. Anu is right here with the platform that she has for organizing learning sessions. The more of you who volunteer, come up with ideas, she's happy to facilitate and contribute to the learning journey.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving to our next round, which is a rapid fire. We get 3 minutes to go over all of these questions. You can't skip any question. You may rephrase my question for the context. Okay?
Okay.
First one. What is your favorite quote?
Sooner or later, the man or woman who wins is the man or woman who thinks he or she can.
Wow. I'm amazed that you could remember it. It takes some time to kind of wrap my head around it, but I think really powerful message. What is your favorite book?
The Courage to be Disliked, the one that I have read recently.
What do you like about it?
It is all about changing the mindset, changing your identity, and how you can do it. Moving from, if I identify myself as I'm the morning person, how can make it I'm a kind human? And this book has helped me.
Awesome. Who is your go-to person for career guidance?
One of my ex-bosses who retired as a VP.
Okay.
He has guided me, mentored me, coached me, and I'm grateful that I found him as my coach.
Perfect. We all need such rocks in our life, right? The big rocks that will hold us steady. Great.
Yes.
Who are the three leaders in the Indian tech writing circle that you admire the most?
If I look at historically and contributions, it would be Ramesh Iyengar, Mac, and Sachin.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that name drop. Okay. When you're hiring people for your team, what are the top traits or skills that you're looking for?
The first thing that that is like a default for me is the curiosity, the inquisitiveness in a candidate. If the person is curious, they will find a way to find their answers. Connecting to that, importance of their ability to ask powerful questions. At times, we just ignore that asking question is a tool, and we as technical writers need to employ this tool every now and then to get the information we need that we can process and relay to our users for their benefit to help them accomplish a task or to enable their success.
And both of them go hand in hand and complement each other.
Yes, and communication.
Sure. Must for a technical communicator. Okay. Who are the three people that you would consider the best writers that you have met?
I'm blessed to met and have worked with so many talent writers.
Sure.
It is a difficult question for sure. But I would definitely like to take name of Gaurav Trivedi, Bijoy Ravindran, and Iravati Dole.
Right. Thanks for sharing those names. It always helps to kind of put a face to all the traits that I admired, right? So I understand it may not be a ordinal ranking, but these are definitely prominent names there.
Yes, and everybody, those who have worked with, they have to forgive me. I mean, it was a difficult question. You trapped me.
Sure. Moving on, some questions that are very common in almost all technical writing circles today. Will ChatGPT take away our jobs?
No, it would certainly complement what we are doing and take away some of the mundane stuff that we are doing. It's like analogies calculator.
Perfect. Should first line managers write?
Absolutely. It would keep them exposed to the challenges and difficulties and keep them relevant to their skills.
Okay. Do designations matter?
To a certain extent, if you're in an organization, it does. Otherwise, if you just consider roles and responsibilities and the domain, it does not.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks for that additional context to your answer. All good things must come to an end, and we are almost towards the end of the format that we follow. But before we go, three important things. First, if there was one significant or key message that you want to leave our audience with today, what would that be?
Be the pain in the neck of your project team.
Okay, perfect. Second, I'm sure there are questions. Our audience loves to kind of connect with us offline. How can they get in touch with you?
LinkedIn would be the easiest way. I am almost absent, though I am available on WhatsApp, but LinkedIn is the easiest way.
Okay. So LinkedIn, look for Dr. Anu. There are not two of them, just one. So go ahead and search and just connect with her if you need. Finally, this is what we call the ad spot. You get 30 seconds to feature in our ad promoting RightBite as a podcast. All yours.
RightBite. Learn more about how to be better at writing the byte for our users and clients.
Okay, thanks for that. So, like the video, share the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you the next time. Bye bye.